Hi, how are you?
Good. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
Okay, we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
Are you good?
I'm ready.
Alright. Hello everyone, welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm
We're
Laura.
at a slight little angle, not too much of a big deal, but
You
coming in at a Batman angle. Alright, Laura, what are we here to talk about today?
We are here to talk about the second half of the 2017 Best Picture nominees for movies released in 2016.
Okay.
So today we are discussing Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hidden Figures, and Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
Last week we talked about Arrival, Hell or High Water, La La Land, Lion, and Moonlight.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, this one is a little bit more of a depressing slog of films than the previous one.
This was a rough batch.
Yeah.
We need to think about this as we're splitting them up next time. Yeah, it was a rough batch.
All right. So we did the last time the top 5 and the other notables. So let's just dive right in with Fences.
Excellent.
Fences, directed and co-produced by Denzel Washington. I think it was the second film he directed at that point.
Antoine Fisher, he
Being
had done.
the first one.
Was this the second one?
I think
Okay.
so. And it's from the screenplay, obviously, by August Wilson, based on his 1985 play. Stars Denzel, Viola Davis, Stephen McKinley, Henderson, Jovan Adepo, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Russell Hornsby, Mykelti Williamson, and Sienna Sidney. Was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Denzel, supporting for Viola, a screenplay for August, and Viola did win her Oscar for supporting. Go some stuff.
All right, so the summary is, it's a working-class African-American father tries to raise his family in the 1950s while coming to terms with the events of his life.
Fair.
Sure, okay. So a couple of fun facts. First of all of the major roles in the film had played those parts on Broadway.
Yep.
So they were just lifting and bringing it to Broadway. And as you said, it was August Wilson's play. He had written a screenplay for a movie before he died, about a decade before this movie,
Sure.
but obviously hadn't been filmed yet. And so to really make it a true screenplay, because it wasn't quite there yet, Denzel, Spike Lee, Tony Kushner all worked on it together and refused to put their names on the screenplay credits because they wanted August Wilson to credit him and make sure that he got full honor for his work.
That's awesome.
So it's very, very cool.
And we'll definitely talk about August and his writing.
Yes.
Well, hey, let's just dive right in.
Mhm.
This film is, to me, all about the language.
Agree.
There are very few films where you can say that the propelling and most enticing, enhancing, the thing that draws you in a film is the language itself. We've talked about a couple over the course of this podcast, but there are not many, and this for sure is one of them.
Yeah.
August just has a way with his dialogue that sounds very plain-spoken, very average, very common, but is absolutely not. I mean, it's crafted. It feels like people having conversations and being conversational, but in that language there's so much. There's plot devices, there's background, there's emotion, like 2 simple sentences and you can completely understand what someone's motivation is without 4 or 5 scenes before to get them to a point. I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah, no, and also I agree with everything that you're saying, and every word was chosen carefully.
Yes.
I just even think about near the beginning, where was it Mr. Boone was his friend?
Yeah.
Was talking about the girl that he was clearly playing around with. And it was just a couple of lines of, you're spending a little bit of time with this person and it's being noticed, and you're like, okay, that's something, and I know what that is. And it was his friend very delicately trying to get into a situation he knew he was not wanted in,
Yep.
but also that he was concerned for his friend, he was concerned for his friend's wife, and I think it was 3 lines of dialogue between these 2 people, and you absolutely knew what was happening and how everybody in the dialogue felt about it.
One of the things that I love about the dialogue, and it's the way that Denzel's character is written in particular, he's constantly talking.
Oh my God, yes.
And like 20-30% of what he says is just absolute fluff and filler. 30 to 40% of what he says has true inherent meaning, but because it's with all this other stuff, sometimes it can pass you by.
Yes.
And the other is just like narration and plot moving forward, and also backfill. Like it's offhanded that he spent time in prison and that's how he met his friend.
Yes, exactly.
And that becomes something relevant later on. Like so every dialogue is filled with all of these different things: fluff, meaning, and foreshadowing, and backstory. It's just so incredibly well done.
And again, the performances. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the dialogue would not be showcased as well as it was if the performances were not what they were. And first of all, Denzel and Viola were amazing, but also every person in the supporting cast was just as amazing. I loved, again, his friend, his son, his brother. Michael T. Williamson is so wonderful every time I see him. I will say that the beginning of the play, that pretty much what would have probably been the first act is all Denzel, and then you think you're going to miss him in the second half, and you do a little bit, but then Viola was such a, just powerhouse, perfect, that you don't really miss him because she takes over.
Before we leave the language, I just want to put August's writing up there with the kind of stylized language that you need to become accustomed to and get used to, like Shakespeare or David Mamet. Like, it's such a particular way of the words and the meter and the way things are said and the way they need to be said, that it does take practice and effort. And that's why, to support what you said, in the hands of other actors unfamiliar with this work, it would not have been as impactful and as meaningful. Because honestly, even though there's so much packed in and it's depressing as all hell, it's completely engaging and the time goes by very quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say, since again on his language, is this play, like most of his plays, but plays in general and poetry in general, I've always felt needs to be performed. Like even poetry, I know a lot of people love to read poetry. I sometimes read poetry, but I get so much more out of it when I hear poetry. And I feel like that the same thing with his plays is, it must be so interesting. I was thinking about going back and reading some of his plays. I'm like, nah, I gotta see them performed, because you really do have to see that language and how it's used.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple scenes to kind of illustrate everything that we're talking about. Very early on in the film, the son coming over to hang out with his father knows why he's there, and they have a conversation about $10.
Yes.
You get so much in that very small conversation, and you see the complete opposite sides of how things in a dynamic actually work. Denzel is like, this is my money, you come here, the only time you ever come around is to ask for $10 because I just got paid, you need to start taking care of yourself and your responsibilities. And he says some pretty disparaging things to his son.
Yeah.
And his son counters with, the things that you're saying about me aren't true, I'm following a passion.
Right.
So very early on you get the dynamic set up, but the way they kind of, and it's not sparring, it's honestly just two different worldviews colliding in a conversation.
It is, but it's a pretty confrontational conversation.
It is,
yes,
on both sides.
Oh, absolutely on both sides. And what's so interesting is he keeps talking about, this is my money, this is my money. He turns it over to his wife.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to me that, yes, he's saying all of these things, but he also knows he can't be trusted with his own money. And so I find that fascinating, is he is more, to me that was like, he's more like his son than he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't trust his son with money, and he doesn't trust himself with money.
So let's talk about Denzel's character, because it's a very deep, rich character with plenty of flaws, but also a lot of strength and things that are quite fascinating. One of the things that I personally find so fascinating is his constant storytelling, and he's repeating the same stories over and over, and even people are like, every time you tell this, you change, you add something more, and then, and he's telling these outlandish tales of meeting the devil and meeting Mr. Death and these things. But then he tells one that's about a third of the way through about meeting the devil. And he's talking about getting something on consignment or for a loan.
Yeah.
And then you realize that he kind of projects onto these natural things in life something that's just a little bit more. Like, the person who is giving him a loan isn't the devil, like a physical devil, like God in hell. But in his mind, he has changed that to be a devil.
It's funny. So I picked that out too and looked at it slightly differently, but I think we're the same things. Is his character likes to challenge constructs.
Yes.
So he was challenging, why can't I be a driver? And he wrote a letter and he talked to his union, and they make him a garbage man driver.
Yep.
So like he challenges that. He challenged the racial divide in baseball. He was such a good baseball player that he thought he should be, on the majors. And whether it was because of his age, which might have been the truth, maybe he didn't have the talent, which might have been the truth, but he still challenged that it was because of his race. That's why he was not on the team. And so I think the same thing is, I think everything is, he is trying to challenge the devil. He is trying to challenge death. I mean, when the mother of his child died, he was challenging death, come after me, I will fight you. He wants to fight. He wants to fight everything around him.
Yeah, he has a very particular worldview. He does not back down, even at times when presented with absolute evidence that his worldview is not an accurate one. He still will not back down because he has belief and conviction in himself, not necessarily those around him. He loves the people around him, but they still will fail him at some point. And we'll get into in a couple minutes the whole how he viewed his wife as failing him, which gave him the justification for his affair.
Exactly. Before we get to that, because I think we need to get to that, but just it's so interesting seeing her character in both the first and the second act, which was in the first act when he's there, she is absorbed by him. She has no room, she has no space. He takes up all the space, and she says that she allows him to. But it's so interesting how much larger her character becomes without that space taken up by him. And so, let's get to him justifying his ability to, go off and be with someone because his wife isn't doing it the way he thinks she should.
Right, but before we do, one of the things that I find interesting about each and every single character as they interact, each one is speaking their own lowercase t, or I guess maybe capital case T, truth. They're expressing themselves in the way that they see things, which all of that does come into conflict with each other, but the conversations are two truths battling each other out through the course of that conversation. And I love how that is structured because you get so much when you have enriched conversations like that. So I just wanted to mention that all of them are speaking their own version of truth.
And they're all in conflict and nobody wins.
Yes.
That's the other part is no one wins in this story, which is interesting.
So I think the scene between Viola and Denzel, two powerhouses going at it for sure.
Amazing.
It's the most powerful, also the saddest scene to me in the entire movie. Because again, both are speaking.
And are you talking about the one where he tells her about the baby when they're in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when they step
outside.
Yeah, when they step outside. More importantly.
Okay.
Because he's basically telling her why he was able to do this, justify this, because the house was so small, he wasn't able to laugh. He was able to laugh and be himself at this other place. All of these things that he's justifying that he as a man should be entitled to, but I'm not getting here from you. And then she basically says the most heartbreaking line when she says that I was standing right there beside you. And if you don't get like slightly teary-eyed at that emotional moment, you have no soul.
Well, because he has no true justification. It's just his life is not going the way he wants his life to go, and that's not her fault. But he can find a respite over in this other area. And what he doesn't understand is what he's building over there is what he has over here, and he is soon going to have, let's just say Althea doesn't die, he's going to have responsibilities over there, and he's going to have to be a father, and he's going to have to do all of those things, and suddenly that world is going to be the same as this world. It's not the laughter and the fun that he thinks it's going to be. No,
and at the core of the day, there are hints in that dialogue. And even the prior conversation with his friend earlier in the film, there are hints that he understands that this is not something that a good person would do.
Sure.
But again, every aspect of his behavior is justified through his particular lens. So absolutely it's justified, and how dare you not understand why I would cheat on you?
Yeah, exactly. How many conversations do you think happen like that in real life? That is a lot of the conversations out there in the world of infidelity.
Absolutely. Well, not even just infidelity, like a lot of just couple conversations are trying to justify my point of view and why I see something a particular way, and those points of view coming into conflict and trying to navigate.
Exactly.
Anyway, outside of those, I didn't have a heck of a lot to say except for the language and their performances make this so good. And Denzel, as a director on this one, just knew how to set a scene and then kind of get out of the way.
I completely agree with that. I had some criticisms about the play, I was going to say, the movie as a whole, with regard to how it was presented as a big play. I mean, it really still felt very much like a set play with a slightly larger sandbox. I mean, it still felt a little bit claustrophobic to me, and more like, you're still going from this set to that set to the other set, more than a film.
Okay, I didn't have as big of a problem with it because the structure, the basic plot of where these conversations happen are small and in small confined spaces. It's basically you're in a neighborhood or you're in the house. You're in the front yard or the backyard. You're in the house or the backyard.
Right.
So I don't see how that would be opened up to feel less play-like.
Because I think in any other film, you would have him and his friend talking at the bar together.
Oh, I see.
You would have him and his son meeting somewhere else. You would have, so I think
Gotcha.
if you were in any other film, you would have many other settings. Yeah, yes, all of these conversations need to take place. Maybe every conversation with his wife needs to take place in the house, but I think that there's a lot of other spaces they could have used. It felt very claustrophobic to me.
Open up the world a bit.
Open up the world a bit, exactly.
Okay. I can see
we
that.
saw them on the garbage truck at the beginning, and then we never left this backyard.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only thing I would say.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, it still felt very play-like to me, but it was a play I enjoyed, so it was all good.
I was a little trepidatious going back in because I remember it being very heavy and you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be much more of a slog than it actually was. I mean, it gets you from almost the opening scene all the way through, and it's the dialogue that just brings you right through.
Did you miss Denzel in the second half of the movie?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. Anytime somebody was not on screen, I didn't miss their character not being there because each of the scenes that were happening seemed like that was the thing that should be happening in the moment.
I completely agree. I thought I was going to miss him, but he's still there. Like his presence. That's the thing. Is like you don't miss him because every conversation about him, every point that you're talking about, just even the little girl's presence, he's there. So yeah, no, I think this is really just one. Did it win screenplay? Did you say?
No, Viola won.
Okay, I'd be interested in what's one screenplay that year because it would be hard pressed to be better than this.
Yeah,
Might have been Manchester, I can't remember. We'll find out.
We'll take a look.
Okay.
So absolutely phenomenal. Well worth your time for sure. And I will say I would put this in, and I do believe it deserves to be nominated for Best Picture because of everything that came with the film itself. There's not something that's overwhelming like, technical effects or whatever. It's just the cohesive whole of this does make it, I think, Best Picture worthy.
I agree with you, and I do think also that there are some movies where it's like Denzel's performance alone would have certainly got him a nomination. Viola Davis has certainly got her a nomination. It's not a movie where it's one part that throws it into contention.
Yeah.
This is every part, how they work together. So I agree with you. I think cinematically, it didn't strike me as much as some of the other movies did, but it was absolutely worthy of a nomination.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up because we have seen nominations before where it's just like, this is the Tom Hanks show. Or
yes, yeah.
All right, let's move on to Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson, film written by Andrew Knight and Robert Chacon, based on the 2004 documentary The Conscientious Objector. The supporting cast includes Andrew Garfield, Sam Worthington, Gracie, Truce Palmer, Hugo Weaving, Rachel Griffiths, and Vince Vaughn. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, for Mel, fascinating fact about that if you didn't do it. Best Actor, Best for Andrew. Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing. It won for Sound Mixing and Film Editing.
All right, so the summary is, World War II American Army medic Desmond T. Doss, serving during the Battle of Okinawa, refuses to kill people and becomes the first man in American history to receive the Medal of Honor without firing a shot. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
So a couple of fun facts, and let me know if I stepped on yours.
Sure.
So Mel Gibson was expected to play Sergeant Howell, which was the Vince Vaughn part. but he decided that he wanted to focus on the directing.
Okay.
But he does make a cameo. He is one of the guys that's helping Garfield Doss off the rigging when
Oh.
he comes down the wall.
Okay.
You can barely see him. You have to go back and really tell that it's him. However, one of the guys in the unit, Lucky Ford, was played by Milo Gibson, his son.
Oh, okay.
So what was your fun fact?
So when this movie came out, and they were doing the promotion and advertising for it, it was not long after Mel's incidents.
Yes.
And Mel had directed films before to critical acclaim. He even won, I think, he won an award for one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Braveheart, correct. So when the marketing went out, it was from the director of, his name never mentioned in any of the materials whatsoever.
That does not surprise me. Actually, I would love to start on this movie because I have it's related to that.
Okay.
So we have tried very hard, and we do try very hard to look at the movie as a piece of art itself and not at the people who created it or the actors or what is happening in real life or whatever. So that obviously was an issue. That I'm not a Mel Gibson fan. I think he's a heinous person. So I looked at this movie without thinking about it being a Mel Gibson movie. But the other thing that I had to do, which I haven't been on the other side of this yet, is that Medic Doss was an amazing human being. He did miraculous things. He did heroic things. He is a wonderful person that it should receive all the honors. And I had a really hard time being like, but that doesn't make it a good movie. Like, he is a wonderful person, and I thank you for your sacrifices, but like, I wanted it to be so much better because I value the man so much. And I did not love this movie in the way I wanted to, and there's lots of reasons why, but
My
you go
opening
ahead.
comment, not a fan. The premise is fine. Conscious objector becomes a hero without ever picking up a gun. Great. But then the execution made me not care.
Well, and here's how I kind of parsed it out, was I was looking at it like a Saving Private Ryan kind of movie, because it was very brutal, and it had a lot of horrible, bloody battle scenes that were going on, and that is war, and Okinawa was, particularly the Japanese side and the Pacific theater, was terribly brutal.
Yes.
This looked almost like a horror movie. He was trying to do like the Halloween jump scares, and it to me it was not respectful. Like, you can be brutal, but it was cartoony.
Yeah, it was
the way it was presented.
a little over the top bloody, but
Mhm.
this is not a defense, but movies that he had directed prior, The Passion of the Christ,
Yeah.
horrifically bloody, like over
Yeah.
the top bloody. And then, oh my God, I'm blanking on the one right before, which was also a very over the top bloody movie. Like, that was becoming his
Not the thin.
style.
Yeah, no. The Thin Red Line, that wasn't
No.
him. Okay.
No.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I just, maybe I don't like that style, and I didn't like it when it was in Braveheart. So I probably did not like that style, but it was more Halloween franchise than a serious look at a battle of World War II. The other thing I didn't care for was the way that they presented the men in his group, because like, we've seen movies do this really well. Each person, you've got like a minute or two and you know who they are, you know who they come from. It was very much, that's the Polish guy, that's the Italian guy, that's the naked guy. And that's literally, but that's what they called them. It's like, oh yeah, you're Polish, you're Italian. It was like, oh, oh, Mel Gibson, that's so very much you. But it just didn't give you anything to hang on to as far as who were these people. And when they died, unfortunately, I didn't have an emotional connection to them.
Yeah, I'm with you. The premise of this movie is a really good one.
Sure, could have been a great story.
Right, and I think with a different script and possibly a different director, I think this could have been a far better movie. There are many things that I find problematic with this movie. One, and we'll talk about some of the prior stuff. The whole court case trial,
Yeah,
completely unnecessary.
agreed.
Nothing came of it except for, okay, he gets to stay and become a medic, which is what he wanted to in the first place.
It shows his father's support of him where he had previously not supported him. It was a plot point, it needed to happen, but it did not need to happen in that way.
No, this could have been, standing there reading a letter with his father.
Yes.
That
yeah.
would have been fine. Like, we didn't need to draw that out to such a degree to have this seem like this big impactful moment, which it was, I'm sure.
I'm sure in his life it was.
But for the film, it's not a big impactful moment.
Exactly. the other thing is, I really did not understand where all of this conviction came from, because it certainly showed he was a very religious man and that his mother was very religious. However, it also showed us that he hit his brother with a brick and almost killed him, and then he almost killed or wanted to kill his father with a gun. So it's like, is this all coming from a religious conviction, or is it all coming from a fear that you have of the anger you have deep down inside? Like, are you afraid if you pick up the gun, you're going to enjoy it?
Yeah.
So that it just never got to that part of like, let's show a little bit of his interior self, and not just I'm reading a Bible, because no, you've shown us it's more.
I think it's all of that, and I think it's also a slight rebellion against his father, because his father gone through the war,
Yes.
was against him signing up, constantly telling horror stories about the war. So I think there's a little rebellion in that, is that he does feel the sense of duty, so I'll go be a medic. And if I'm a medic, that means I don't have to carry arms, I don't have to fight,
Right.
so I won't end up like my father. But then he's forced to be in this, and he then has to stand by conviction. I agree with you that conviction is not built up enough for you to really truly
No.
feel it. So you are left kind of guessing, is it this, is it that? And I think it's just a mismatch of all of it.
And there's too much shown us, that is shown to us of what it could be, and not enough shown to us of what it really is, or what's the stronger path, what's the stronger reason. And the audience should not have to do that much mental gymnastics. You should leave the audience room to wonder, but not when you've said, okay, here's 5 reasons, could be any of them.
Yeah.
You tell us.
So the other thing I have problem with is the actual scenes up on the ridge, battle scenes. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. I'm going to give you an easy one. After, everybody leaves and they go back down the ridge, and he's stuck up there with a lot of people who are dead or dying. So he then, God give me one more, God give me one more. He keeps going back and back. And this is days that this
Yes.
goes on. So we see nighttime scenes, and then
Yeah.
we see day scenes. And there are so many scenes, there's like 4 or 5 of them, honestly, of the Japanese walking through just stabbing people, knowing he's out there. No!
That's
Like,
not how it works.
No! If they know somebody is out there, they're not just going to be casually rolling over bodies.
Well, but why do you think they knew he was out there? Do they know he's out there?
Yeah, from like the second time, the second day, they spot him and start shooting at him.
Right, oh, that's true. Good point. All right, yeah.
And
you're
then
right.
it's days more
Yep.
where they're just casually walking through.
That's how the
Also,
way that works, yeah.
on the last day, he suddenly discovers his sergeant and his friend who have been there for the past 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
And while they're injured and trapped,
But they're fine.
they're fine?
Yeah.
Fuck you! No, that's not how that works. Like, it would have been fine if he had, it would have been more tense-filled and I think a better development if he had seen them from afar and was working his way towards them or something. Not just like suddenly stumble over them on day
He keeps
5.
hiding behind rocks and they don't see him. Yeah.
I didn't buy any of that. No.
Fair. But again, that's direction. That is the director's fault. That is just not shown well.
And I will give Andrew full-on props for his performance.
He did well.
Everybody else is fine.
Yep.
He's above fine. He's not phenomenal. He's not like the most amazing thing you've ever seen. But for his character, I think he did a very good job.
I agree with you, but I also think that's one of the problems with the movie is it's a movie about one person and no one else matters.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying about the guys around him. They didn't have a chance to do a good job because they didn't write them any characters.
Yeah.
It is him, and he does very well, but that's because everything in the movie is structured around this one person, and we don't care about anything else.
Yeah, and when we've seen that work well when it's structured around one person, the support does truly support,
Exactly.
enhance,
There
and
is
propel.
there is no support here. It's
Yep.
just we're putting him literally a spotlight on him, and that's all you need to care
Yep.
about.
Yeah, so I think this is, I have major problems with this movie.
This
And not
is-
just because of that.
This is one of the ones that I just was not looking forward to rewatching because at the time I remember watching it and not liking it.
Yep.
So I didn't love it again. I'm consistent. There you go.
I have nothing else for that.
I'm good.
All right, let's move on to Hidden Figures. Co-produced and directed by Theodore Melfi, who co-wrote the screenplay with Alison Schroeder, loosely based on the 2016 book by Starr, book. It stars Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, Kevin Costner, Kirsten Dunst, Jim Parsons, Mahershala Ali, Aldous Hodge, and Glenn Powell. Was nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress for Octavia, Best Adapted Screenplay, and that was it. Did not win anything.
Okay. So the summary, the IMDb summary. 3 female African-American mathematicians play a pivotal role in astronaut John Glenn's launch into orbit while dealing with racial and gender discrimination. I think that's great. All right, so I had a couple of fun facts about this. First of all, Janelle Monáe is in 2 Best Picture nominated movies this year. She's in Moonlight and she's in this one. These are the first 2 movies she's ever made. Moonlight was the first movie she was in. This is the second movie that she was in.
Yeah, she had a
Oh yeah, well, and she's wonderful, so I still like seeing her and stuff. Taraji met Katherine Johnson, the real one, who was 97 at the time of filming. Katherine said that she loved the movie, but was unclear why anyone would want to hear anything about her life, because it was unspectacular. The 3 of them, on the Oscars night, welcomed her to the stage, and she was 98 years old, and she got a ridiculous standing ovation that she well deserved, so it was very cool. John Glenn did actually ask for her specifically to review the calculations, so that was not made up for the movies.
Good.
He wanted her to check them, and that's when he would feel comfortable.
Got it.
Which I absolutely loved. And then the only other thing is Mahershala Ali. He was also in 2 nominated movies this year, the same 2. And he also, in addition to being Janelle Monáe's love interest from Moonlight and Taraji P. Henson's boyfriend here, he was also her boyfriend in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which is the first time I remember seeing him.
That's right.
So lots of little fun facts.
Okay, I'm going to start with this. I don't have a lot of notes because I figured we'd just kind of go through things, but I wanted to use this one as something we touch a lot on in the course of this podcast, which is different versions of storytelling. Mm-hmm. We just talked about it, a very particular version of storytelling with Hacksaw Ridge, just focused on one guy, and we've seen that focus, if it's just on one guy or one person, work with a lot of supporting. Did not work for Hacksaw because there was no supporting. This one is another example of a film we see a lot, which is it's a moment in time focusing on people. Think Selma. And when you have that kind of story, the rules are slightly different in the storytelling. You don't have to worry about necessarily befores and afters. Mm-hmm. You worry about the moment and what's the information that's necessary to tell this particular moment in time. And with, I think, an effective one, the way that they do that is through character. Mm-hmm. When movies focus on the characters of the moment and tell the story of the moment through the characters, not plot or a lot of history, then I think it becomes a successful film. And we've seen that sometimes work, sometimes not. I think it worked with Selma. It was kind of a similar thing, but bigger cast and a bigger focus. This one, I think, is a great example of if you just let the characters speak about the moment and have every other person interact to explain the moment, your film is going to work incredibly well, but you have to focus on character and moment, and I think this film did that beautifully.
I completely agree, and like one of the examples of that is, how did 3 women like them get these jobs in this place, in a segregated state, in a segregated place that they were working, and yet they are clearly well respected within kind of their own roles. And like, how did that happen? How did we get there? And that's one of the first questions I had. And we don't care. We don't need to know. It does not propel this particular story forward. How did her husband die? We don't know. We don't care. It doesn't matter. Here's where we are. Yeah. And so, yeah, I agree with you, is that there are a lot of questions left unanswered that we don't need to answer because of the 3 people. This is also an example of what I think Hacksaw Ridge did badly, which is the supporting characters are all incredibly rich, 3-dimensional, and well-drawn.
Yeah.
And I want to point especially to their husbands or partners in this because I think it's really interesting. I had a note here somewhere. The women themselves, first of all, the men were all supportive. Mm-hmm. They were absolutely supportive of, you need to do what you need to do. I am with a strong woman because I love that she is a strong woman. The only one who was slightly less supportive was the husband of Mary, who was worried about her getting hurt. He didn't care that she was a mathematician or an engineer or gonna get more education than him or gonna have a bigger job or be more important. He was like, I don't want them to hurt you,
Right.
which was very kind. And the minute she started going forward, he absolutely supported her 100%. And not only did that tell you a little bit about the men, which is not normal in a story like this. Usually there's conflict at home. There was none of that.
Yep.
But also it tells you more about the women, that not only are these strong women are not going to pick partners who do not support and accept and promote the fact that they are strong women. So I loved that about them.
One of the things you mentioned, which I just want to support, we don't need a lot of backstory on these women. They're here, and this is what we understand. The only one you do need to understand is the one who has the brilliant mathematical mind. So we do have a quick backstory
Yes.
of her being shown from a young age how amazing her mathematical mind is, because that is important information that is just supports the richness and the importance of this person as an individual. But that's the only thing we get. We get nothing on the other two. And we only get that because it's necessary and supportive of how brilliant her mind actually is in this area. The other thing that I'll support is, you're correct, all of the additional characters that are around and that interact with everybody, they all have their own things they're going through, their own ways of looking at things. Some of them are supportive, some of them are antagonistic, some of them just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And others, like, I'll use Kevin's character as an easy example. He doesn't really care that she's black. He acknowledges it, he understands it, but he doesn't care. She's there to do a job. She shows that she has these skills to keep being able to do it. And anytime something because of her race gets in the way of her being able to perform her function and duty, he then removes that. He's unaware that it's happening, but once he does, and he's like, okay, well, this can't happen because I need you to do this, and this is in the way of that, and that's dumb, so let's just go ahead and do this.
Exactly, and I will say that is a role that, to me, this is the opposite of a white savior movie.
Yes.
Kevin Costner is not the white savior in this movie. What he's doing is he's removing barriers, and perhaps there are some folks in this movie who are helping to make some opportunities, but these women are doing everything on their own. Dorothy is my favorite character, the Octavia Spencer character, because she is like, all right, this is not, I am a supervisor, I'm acting in that way, no one's accepting me. All right, I'm gonna look at this path instead. There's a need that needs to be filled. And not only does she fill that need, she brings her girls with her. Like, I am bringing the women in my pool with me to do that. And then Kirsten Dunst, I loved their relationship because Kirsten sees that she is being more successful and that maybe she can help her pool. And Octavia's like, sure, I'd be happy to help them, but I see you. Like, you think that you are not a racist, you think that you are not a terrible person, go ahead and think that. I know differently. I love their interaction in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Which also, taking place in the bathroom, a white woman and a black woman in the same bathroom was, like, that was a very intentional space.
A little extra layer
yes.
there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, the racism in this, while overt at times, is not the central part of the story, which in a different version of a draft could have been very heavily focused on that. There are elements that are in the way of these women being able to perform their job.
How can you say it's not about race? Because I think
no,
I think it is all about them being black women.
Yes, what I'm saying, the racism itself is not the central story that is being told. The racism are things that are getting in the way, and it's not super over the top, all about racism every single scene. That's my point. It's there, it influences the movie, it absolutely influences the way people interact and how the characters interact, but it's not the central theme of the movie, I don't feel.
See, and I would disagree, because I think that it is, because it is that under the covers, it's not the people in the white hoods, it's the colleague sitting next to you who doesn't give you the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think it is still about the racism and about what they are trying to overcome. It's just that it is less overt and more covert.
That's what I'm trying to say. It is not overt, in your face, all the way through the entire movie, which other movies would have it be that. That would be the major focus of the entire thing. It would be much more shoved in your face. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right, so it's more realistic about what
Yes.
these women deal with and probably today deal with every day.
Yes.
Okay.
When you have a confrontational scene where Taj's character finally can't take it because it takes her 45 minutes to go to the bathroom, and her frustration just comes out, and she's doing this because of the only place she can go to the bathroom is 45 minutes away because it is segregated, which 100% is racism. Focusing on that as a moment, absolutely. But if they had done that over and over and over again in every single little thing, I think the movie itself would have suffered if every moment was about the racist aspect and what is being done to the women and not what the women are doing themselves.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
you still hesitant, and that's fine.
I think we're close to what we're saying, being the same thing. But yeah, the thing I did have was, I think that, again, kind of some of their conflicts probably were not overcome as easily as we see in a movie, but it's a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? But I just thought the women and the performances were, again, kind of like you were saying, it's the characters that drive through the story. And what were your thoughts with kind of how it ends with both this and Hacksaw Ridge ended with like the real moments of the real people? I'm not sure how I feel about that as in a movie altogether.
I don't mind it, particularly after the story itself has ended.
Okay.
So, roll credits and then here we'll show you the real people. I think that's an homage to the people themselves, but also something for the audience. Like, you just watched the 2 hours about these 3 people being fictionalized by these actresses.
Yes.
Here are the real people. Now that the story is over, let's tell you the real people, or show you the real people. I have no issue or problem with that. When I do have an issue or problem is when that creeps in earlier than when the film is over.
Okay, that makes sense to me, and I agree with you, because it's almost like the movie is over and here's some additional information.
Yeah.
I like that. Out of all of these movies, this is the one that I was most looking forward to revisiting,
Me too.
and it is the movie that I most enjoyed revisiting. It is, even if you're not watching it for, was it a Best Picture? Like the way we're trying to pick apart little things, it's just an enjoyable movie.
It's incredibly...
It's people I want to spend time with.
Yeah. It's well told, it ticks all of the boxes for the things that we want. It's a well told story. It's an interesting story. It's character driven, and those performances are amazing. The direction allows for you to actually fully understand the story. Scenes are not too long, they're not too short. You get just enough information before moving on to the next thing. Like I said, it ticks all of the boxes, and yeah, I absolutely think it deserved to be nominated.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, shall we move on to the last?
Yes.
Manchester by the Sea.
All right.
Written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan. Stars Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, Kyle Chandler, and Lucas Hedges. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Casey, Best Supporting for Lucas, Best Supporting Actress for Michelle, Best Original Screenplay. It did win for Screenplay, so there's your answer.
Oh, okay, yeah, I thought maybe.
And then Casey won his actor for it. So go.
So the summary is: a depressed uncle is asked to take care of his teenage nephew after the boy's father dies. I think it leaves things out that it has to leave out because you don't want to know why and how.
Yeah.
So a couple of fun facts, which are, this was the brainstorm of Matt Damon and John Krasinski. They thought up this idea.
Oh, okay.
And they actually brought it to Kenneth.
I didn't know that, actually.
The map piece, anyway. I don't think I knew about the John Krasinski. They brought it to Kenneth Lonergan, who spent a couple of years writing it and ultimately decided to direct it. He was planning to direct Matt Damon, and Matt Damon just kept having scheduling issues, and then he's like, I think I might be too old for this role at this point, and so he turned it over to Casey Affleck, who I think did a fantastic job. So Lonergan does cameo, because all directors cameo apparently at this point, as the guy who heckles him when he walks by and Lee is fighting with Patrick and says, hey, great parenting there.
Oh, yeah,
So he's the heckler. And then the last one is, I actually looked for this because I was wondering if it was real or faked. When they were trying to put Michelle Williams into the ambulance and the stretcher would not collapse and they couldn't get it in, that was actually happening. That was real.
I kind of see that.
And so they kept it in because it was so real and so absurd.
This movie was obviously, this is the indie movie, it's a low budget movie. So
Yep.
knowing that when they were dealing, trying to do it, and I'm like, betcha that was the only shot they had that day.
Yeah, could be, could very well be.
All right, I'll start off with this one, and I will say, I will admit, I do not get the hype behind this movie.
Okay.
It's a slog. The moments are difficult, which that's not a problem necessarily. But for some reason, for me, this one is a little bit more painful to sit through, pay attention, and absorb and care. There are moments, and we'll talk about those, but overall, I could never watch this movie again and be totally fine.
I will agree with I could never watch this movie again because I did not want to revisit this movie. I love this movie. I think this is an amazing movie, and it's incredibly well done on all counts. But I never wanted to watch it again, and I hope to never watch it again because it is so real and painful, and that's to me what got me. So a couple of things. One of which is the twist of the tragedy is perfect.
Yeah, I will give you that.
Because
for sure.
It has to be very clear that he is responsible for the death of his children. He has to be responsible, but he also can't be criminally responsible.
Yep.
And it has to be an accident. It has to show the love of his children. He was walking because he didn't want to drive drunk. So like he is a good man. He is a good person who did one simple stupid thing and left the screen away from the fireplace. That's literally the only thing he did wrong, but he did it wrong because he was high and he was drunk and all that kind of stuff. But his level of guilt, you have to understand it was his fault, but it's also just so heartbreaking because accidents happen to good people, to good families, and I think the twist of how they wrote it was perfect.
Yeah, I agree. The reveal of that was amazing.
Yep.
It came at the right moment.
Yep.
Because up until that moment, you're wondering why he is the way he is.
Yep.
And
Where are the kids?
Yeah, you've gotten a flashback or two, or
Yeah.
you don't know if it's a flashback initially, but then you kind of figure out that they are. The movie itself is very well crafted. I enjoyed it immensely the first time I went through because of the realism of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's probably now become something as I've aged a little bit more, that too much realism, my life sucks enough. No, and I'm being quite serious, that when you have too much realism, I don't want to spend 2 hours in someone else's misery.
Okay, fair.
And so,
So it's too painful to watch.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one is
Fair.
hyper realistic.
Yes.
In its pain and in its moments. Initially, as you're watching, Casey seems like he's just doing a bad job of acting. Like the first 10 minutes, he just seems off. Like,
Yeah.
what is
Yes.
off with your acting?
Yeah.
And then as the movie progresses, you recognize, oh no, now I understand.
He is shut down.
Yes.
He is just shut down as a human.
And his performance then makes complete sense throughout. But initially, you're like, dude, try acting. Like, act a little bit.
But see, I love that. I think the things that you hated about the movie were the things I loved about the movie. I loved the fact that his personality unfolded, like you just saw cracks here and there.
Yeah,
like when he was with his
enough.
brother, when he saw his brother's body, you saw the crack. In the police station, when he tries to kill himself, you see that. But also just when he's crying with his friend of, I just can't read it. You can see, like, and he can't let it out.
His nephew.
No, it's when he was with a friend.
I just can't beat it? No.
He says I can't beat it with the nephew, you're right, but when he starts to cry with the friend
Okay,
on
gotcha.
the couch, I was thinking, you're right, I'm conflating the two
Nope.
scenes. I think the scene with him and Michelle Williams when she is trying to apologize is the most painful scene of cinema that is so real because he is like, I can't have the conversation, I can't feel these feelings, I can't hear what you're saying. And she just wants to reach out to him and she wants to connect because she lost everything that night.
Including him.
And you know, she has been able to slowly rebuild her life slightly, and she says, she's like, her heart will always be broken, but she's able to at least live, and he can't live.
Yep.
And that makes her sad. So I think that, and I think there was so much hyper-realism, which I enjoyed. There were two pieces especially, one of which is Patrick. And I just think that kid was perfect as far as just, you know, scamming on two girls, a bad garage rock band. He's got, you know, his hockey friends, having your friends around when you're sad, and even though your father just died, like you just want your friends when you're that age. I loved him. And then, but you think he's not taking it seriously, and then it's all about the freezer and his dad's body being in the freezer. And when the meat starts to fall out of the freezer, I'm like, Jesus, kid, get your shit together. And then you realize what's happening and that he's having a breakdown. And I think that those moments that you're thinking, why are they doing this? Every moment means something.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Every moment does mean something in this. And one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in any movie ever is that scene between the two of them on the street. It's a random confrontation as you run into each other, completely random. She recognizes an opportunity and she needs to get this. She needs to get this out.
It's her need.
Yeah. He doesn't want any part of this at all.
Yeah.
He can't accept it. He can't hear it. And those two things coming into conflict with a baby on the street is just absolute heart-wrenching. They're both giving to the other what their emotional state is, the things that they need. His is like, I can't do any of this, and hers is, I have to do this. And they are in conflict, and that just reinforces who the people are that they have become. It's heart-wrenching, absolutely heart-wrenching.
It's hard for me because we were just talking about Fences, and Viola Davis 100% deserves Best Supporting Actress for Fences. She absolutely did. But man, if they could give a Best Supporting Actress for a scene, Michelle Williams, I love this scene, and she is just aching with like love and longing and sadness, and I thought the movie top to bottom was purposeful. Every moment in it was chosen for a reason, and I loved the linear aspect of it, but they kept jumping in at the right times with flashbacks that are kind of a little bit startling because you don't really realize it's a flashback until you're like, wait, Kyle Chandler's dead. Why is he alive? And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, this is a flashback. And I like the way those were interwoven.
Yeah, the flashbacks with the brother become important as time goes on because you recognize that the brother was the person that was keeping him alive.
Yes.
And without the brother, what the hell is going to happen?
And that's why the brother gave him the son, is because you need something.
Yep.
And he recognized that.
Yep. And there is even just a little bit, like not too much. The movie ends with a glimmer of hope, just a spark.
Yes.
It's not a denouement. It's not some sort of life-altering moment, but there's a little bit there that you're like, maybe this guy will end up being okay. Again, I have problems with the hyper-realism of the movie. I am not taking anything away from the craft of the movie.
Yeah, no, I can totally understand that. The one con I have, it's a pretty significant one about the movie itself, is the score. I just thought the score was awful for this movie. It does not fit at all.
It does not fit. It takes you out of scenes.
Yes. Yep.
It gives you I don't know if it was intentionally trying to give you the opposite emotion of what the scenes were.
I read somewhere that they are trying to, because of the hyperrealism, they are trying to create almost like an operatic feel. That this is almost like an opera. It's an operatic feel. So they had the classical music. And it's like, this is a blue-collar Beverly Manchester family. This is not the music that is going to fit into their world. And it was just, I agree with you, it was bad.
This should, to me, and again, not writing scores, but being a musician, passionate lover of music, I think this should have been a very minimalistic, almost just piano score.
Yes,
and exactly. I think that would have worked so much better.
And in a couple of places, they did some like appropriate pop songs that they fit in that made perfect sense for who these people were and what was going on in their life. But the rest of it it absolutely took me out of the film significantly enough that it's a major problem for me.
Okay, I have nothing else.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so we moved 4 in theory forwards. We'd moved Arrival, Hell, High Water, La La Land, and Moonlight, correct?
Yes.
And so to get to 5, do you want to kick any of those out?
I would be okay kicking out Moonlight.
Okay.
How about you?
I would be okay with that. I think
you proposed last time putting forward Arrival and Hell or High Water.
Those were the only 2, yes.
I would be okay with moving those forward, having seen these now.
Okay.
Let's take those 2 forward.
Okay. And then the only, again, we look at this as the craft of film, not necessarily your reactions to film. So based on the remaining 4, I would do Fences, Hidden Figures, and Manchester by the Sea.
I agree. That would be my 5.
Okay, and
Can I go with you first?
Sure.
I think you are going to disagree with the Academy that chose Moonlight.
Well,
I know you are. I know you are. And you are going to, it's so close between Arrival and Fences, I think you're going to choose Arrival.
No.
Fences?
No.
Do tell.
It was a toss-up for me between Hell or High Water or Fences.
Okay.
And Fences because of the execution of everything. Hell or High Water because it is just it's a near perfect film from start to finish.
Okay.
Performances, writing, absolutely everything.
Okay.
But the smallness of Fences is what would make me propel Hell or High Water.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that you obviously disagree with the Academy, and you're going with Manchester as your choice.
That's my second choice.
Oh, then you're going to go with, oh goodness, this shot in the dark, Hidden Figures.
No.
Fences.
Go closer to home.
Hell or High Water.
Yes. Absolutely. I had no idea. I thought it was a rival sure thing until I heard you talking about Fences. And then I'm like, oh, it might be Fences. I am very surprised about Hell or High Water for you. But yeah, Hell or High Water, I agree with you. It is a near perfect movie. I love Manchester by the Sea. I absolutely love it. But I do think it suffers from the Shakespearean tragedy of it all that you're talking about.
And again, what we're looking at is what we think the best crafted film overall was.
Yep.
And while Moonlight was groundbreaking and wonderful and an amazing story being told, I don't think it was the best crafted film, all inclusive, all in.
I
for the year.
Completely agree. I would go Hell or High Water.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, both you, so awesome. Let us know. Probably you're going to rip us apart because we made it we
didn't even know what we were getting. We had to really go through a list there. So yeah. I think it shows there were a lot of good movies here.
Yeah, there were.
And even the ones we didn't move forward, most of them were very watchable.
But this is my problem of the time period that we're in now. There are a lot of amazing, great quality movies that are coming out, but ones you don't necessarily want to see again.
Yes, exactly.
That's a problem for me.
Yeah, I fully enjoyed watching Hell or High Water again.
All right, see ya.
Bye.